CTV's chief political correspondent, Vassy Kapelos, on what some are describing as the most consequential election in Canadian history. Vassy, the day is here. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Stefan. Thanks for having me. It is. It's exciting.
It is exciting. And for some people, they say it's been a long 37 days of campaigning. Others, well, it's relatively short compared to other campaigns. How are you feeling, and what has been the biggest takeaway for you?
I thought it went pretty quickly, and maybe I'm sort of an anomaly in that. I did feel like it was a fairly focused, fast campaign with no major scandals or anything like that. And I've covered other ones that were like 11 weeks in length, for example, so this certainly felt a lot faster. Maybe people felt it was dragging on for them only because of the excitement that preceded, and I guess maybe excitement isn't the right word, but all the chaos that preceded the election call, the fact that our own prime minister was kind of booted by his caucus, eventually resigned, was replaced by Mark Carney. Donald Trump started threatening us. Like, all of that took place essentially over like a 90-day, like a 1 month period or a month and a half. And so with that chaos directly preceding the campaign, it might have felt a bit more slow, a bit more serious, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. My big takeaway, Stefan, is, it's been decades before you and I were born since there has been such a coalescing of support around just two parties, where people have been so keenly focused on the question of who will form government, not necessarily who will best represent their views. And I'm very curious to see the degree to which that plays out tonight. So does 80% of the country choose between the Conservatives and the Liberals, and what does that mean for other parties?
Right. And, to your point, I've been theorizing that for some people it feels long only because we have Canadians who are so sure about where they want to cast their ballots that they're eager to do so. Let's talk about that advanced polling turnout a little bit as a highlight during this.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be lines today. So my first message to everyone is, please do whatever you can to stay in those lines and to cast your ballot. If you look at the latest numbers from Nanos Research or polling aggregators, there's just a couple of percentage points, which is within the margin of error, that divides the Liberals and the Conservatives. So if you have that moment where you think, oh, do I really sit around and wait for this? Does my vote even matter? It will matter, no matter where you are in the country. So please do take that to heart. I think your thesis is very accurate. I think that people are seized by this election. 7.3 million, as you mentioned, an all-time record, 25% higher than 2021, cast their ballots in advance votes. It's not always a predictor of overall level of turnout, but if it does track, you'll be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of over 70%, and it's been a really long time since this country has seen that. It warms my, as I said on my podcast this week, it warms my dead heart to see that level of engagement. And look, we're dealing with Donald Trump. We're dealing with an economy that we want to transform, so we're never this vulnerable again. By extension, it makes sense that Canadians care, and I hope that follows through the rest of today.
We have about 30 seconds left, Vassy, but I wanted to ask you, has this been a Donald Trump election or a Canadian identity election, an economy election, all of the above? It's hard to pinpoint what really matters the most or what got people excited this time around.
I think it's been all of the above, and I'll just be very quick. I think the Liberals want it to be Donald Trump. The Conservatives want it to be change. The economy underpins both of them. I think if there's one theme that crosses the board for Canadians, it's the economy, their own financial well-being, and the future for their kids. And so I think it's a little bit of all of the above.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you'll be up late tonight. I will be too, so don't feel alone in that regard. Thanks, Vassy.
You bet, anytime.
Be sure to stay with CTV News tonight for results, analysis, perspective from right across the country. Our election night coverage gets underway at 7 o'clock tonight. It will be led by CTV's chief national news anchor, Omar Sachedina, and Vassy Kapelos, who we just spoke to.